Hey there, dear writers, and welcome to Just Write Already, the short show for new authors to create pop fiction that means something.
It's filled with tips, real life stories, and advice that will get you motivated to stop dawdling and finish something.
We're helping you to break free, get better, write wilder, so that readers can't put your story down, even if they should.
Dominic is an affectionate Snow White admirer and a vulgarian.
Katy is our unconditional sugar zealot who is loving life.
That is all true.
Yep.
That's the best one yet.
Yeah,
We're
but
not
so not really, actually.
we're novel writers and story lovers who really need to stop talking and get back to writing.
And today, along those lines, we're talking about staying motivated. Katy, give us the 4 points that we're going to cover in today's show.
Okay, so 1 is have a set time to work. 2, eliminate distractions. 3, have a writer's group. 4, create deadlines. And 5, the most important one, and the one that is just a kick in the butt, which is just do it.
And at the end, I'm going to try to squeeze in a bonus tip that I just discovered that I think is awesome. So you are forbidden to scroll ahead and listen to it. Otherwise, it will magically disappear from the episodes. You have to listen to each one in order. All right, Katy, why don't we start with have a set time to work? Why
All
do you
right.
pick that one?
Yes. So first, I'll say with a little caveat that these are all things that have worked very effectively for me to stay motivated. They might not work for everyone, so you can try out these and then find one that works for you. I am a very ADD personality type, so these are all to kind of handle someone who gets distracted a lot and who has a lot going on. So having a set time to work. This for me is super critical, and it was especially critical when I was, working full time and I had 3 kids I was taking care of. What I would do is I would get up at 5 a.m. and then from 6 till I started work at 8, that was my writing time. And it was totally focused. And I would just sit and stare at the computer, even if I didn't feel like it, if the inspiration wasn't flowing. And usually, what would happen is after I'd sit there, for a couple of minutes, I would get bored, kind of, and then I would just start writing anything. And once I started writing anything, just the ideas and the motivation started to flow. But when you have that time that you've committed to putting into your story, that you're promised yourself, you're not going to look at Facebook, you're not going to, look at other things. Um, and you're setting boundaries with your family and friends as well. Like, I'm not going to answer the phone during this time. If you have a problem, you got to figure it out yourself because this is my writing time. Making sure that you set those boundaries creates a space where the motivation can come, because it's just not going to come out of the blue. Sometimes you have to sit there in silence and struggle for it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes when it limit having that set time to work and eliminating those distractions, almost the first 5 minutes every time, the first 20 minutes of that are just going to feel like white noise, and it's going to be hard to focus. But it's exactly the same thing no matter what discipline you're doing. Whether you're a Buddhist monk and you're trying to meditate, or whether I'm just thinking of Kung Fu Panda. It's like inner peace, inner peace. Come on, inner peace, inner peace. It's the same thing when you're trying to do any sort of discipline, especially with something like writing or any kind of creativity. Give yourself, a little bit of patience for the first couple of minutes to kind of get in the zone. And every time you're distracted, it can take you out of that. So it's a hard thing to do, but if you can get it, if you can agree with everybody in the house, or if you have your own time, do that. So
Mm-hmm.
set time to work and eliminate distractions. What's next?
Yeah. So, you have the set time to work where you are just you eliminated distractions, which we kind of covered up in the last one. But I would really hone in on this. Make sure that you communicate, like, with your spouse, with your family. This is my writing time, and it's really important. Or if they think that writing is just like a hobby or something, I mean, maybe it is. Even so, it doesn't matter. Tell them
Mm-hmm.
you have to work. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
do. This is my work time. Don't distract me unless it's an emergency.
Yeah.
That's critically important. Um, and sometimes too, will go to, I'll go out to the library or to the coffee shop just so that people can't find me and I'm invisible. And my husband and I have that agreement.
Uh-huh.
Works really well. So after that, after those first 2 points, number 3 is have a writer's group or a friend. And the reason that this is important is because it gives you accountability. So this actually ties in with number 4 as well, which is create deadlines, which you can do by yourself or with your group. But if you have a group of people who are waiting for the next chapter of your story, um, and they're going to bug you about it, or you just have regular group meetings, you'll be like, oh man, I really gotta make sure that I get chapter 3 done, before Thursday, so people have time to read it before our meeting on Saturday. um, that is just one of the biggest motivators for me, is just having that deadline, because it, kind of the hard thing is that there's not going to be some magic spell where you're going to feel like doing it suddenly if you don't feel like doing it. You just have to force yourself to do it, and a deadline is a really great way to get that accountability. So if you don't have a group, let's say you want to create a deadline without a group, maybe you have a blog or some people who follow you and say, publicly say, I'm going to have this done by the 25th. And then all of a sudden you have people counting on you getting it done by the 25th. And that's a huge motivator that you'll have something done by that date, whether you feel like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, deadlines. I mean, there's a reason why we use them. It's to keep us motivated. It also gives you maybe a little extra pressure to stay focused every day and just do a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
keep chipping away at it. All
Yeah.
right, so have a writers group or have a friend or somebody you can get feedback from to keep you in that headspace. Create your deadlines, and then listen to our show.
And then just do it.
Yep.
I have this gif I used to send to people when I was in management, and I will still send to the teens on the teen group if they're like, I just can't stay focused. I just keep getting
Yeah.
distracted. I'll find the Shia LaBeouf "Just Do It" gif, and I'll just
There
send
you
that to
go.
them, where he's just screaming, "Just do it!"
Do
Because
it. Oh,
there's no magical, like people keep waiting to get motivated, and I'm gonna sound like your cranky dad or something, but
yeah.
sometimes you just gotta sit down and force yourself to stare at the screen. you know,
Mm-hmm.
just force yourself to do it, and the motivation will come later.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to create that environment, create that context. So I want to share I actually had my own stab at like 5 or 4 of the top tips that worked for me to stay motivated, because I'm also kind of like you. There's like always a ton going on, but thinking back on when writing worked really, really well for me, and it was easy to sort of snap back into the zone. One of the key tips that I just discovered recently that uh, really is just a smart one is something like this: commit to only 5 or 10 minutes a day, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. The reason why is because when you see yourself being good at doing something or doing something well, you put that in the part of your brain that goes, hey, I'm awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to go back to keep doing that, because we like to think, I'm good at this. I did that really well the other day, whatever. Think of your inner 2-year-old, your
Mm-hmm.
inner 4-year-old. And if you were to sit down for like 5 minutes and write whatever it was, obviously it's not enough time, but you did it and it worked, and you wrote something and you feel a little good about yourself. And then you spend the rest of the day thinking, wow, that was a pretty good 5 minutes. I could do that again tomorrow. And then you do it again tomorrow. And a week later, it's like you're now conditioning yourself, you're training yourself like, when those 5 minutes come, I am awesome. Now
Mm-hmm.
think of this when you go the other way, which is what a lot of us do. It's like, finally it's the weekend, I can sit and I can write. First 20 minutes, nothing. I'm gonna try free writing. Let's try some stream of consciousness. Where's my YouTube playlist? An hour later, I'm a failure. I'm a terrible person. I can't write for anything. It's like really important, I think, to avoid putting ourselves in those conditions where we start the negative speak to
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. So it's like this, I think it's just this awesome little hack, 5 or 10 minutes that you can be amazing in,
Mm-hmm.
and then just do that. And that builds up a sense of confidence about that. I'd also like to throw in like something that I do for almost every, like when I'm writing a novel or taking a story really seriously, I will hunt down, and this will take a lot of time initially, but I will find a piece of music that can work as a soundtrack for that. And I'll go to websites where I could buy like a royalty free piece of music. So if I wanted to make a trailer or an epic movie or something about it later on, I've got that piece of music, and it's not like just anything from Spotify, but I can then listen to that on repeat over and over. And I'll do that sometimes. I'll go back and re-listen to a piece of music from a novel I used to be writing, and I'll get all choked up and I can't breathe, and my, all of my associations and mental conditioning tries to go back to those moments when I was intensely writing that novel, because that music is just tied into every scene and character and feeling. So
Mhm.
that's a really cool way to, I think, use music to help get yourself in the zone. Use ambient, soundscapes, to get yourself to imagine. All of that can help create that sense of, uh, one, safety, that it's okay for you to be creative right now.
Mhm.
Um, and then two, creating the feeling of, I'm in the mood of where this is. And sometimes you use coffee, a quiet room, sometimes you need a cafe.
Mhm.
Create that soundscape. We have the tools and the YouTube channels that help, and Spotify playlists that can do this for us really easily. That can create the context, the conditions for staying motivated. And then maybe just try 5-10 minutes and just winning at all the things in 5 or 10 minutes. And that'll help you stay motivated in the long term. But you don't just sort of show up when you're motivated, you create motivation.
Mhm. Yeah, and one thing I would add to that, I think that's fantastic advice, and I would add, don't get discouraged if you sit down for your 5 minutes or your 10 minutes and nothing comes. That's part of the process. I consider that part of the process. So I'll have some days where during my dedicated writing time, I could sit there for an hour and, get 2 sentences written. There are
Mhm.
other days when I can sit down for 10 minutes and I'll like bang out like, 5 chapters. So all of that is part of the process and it's normal. So don't let yourself fall into despair if you have, one bad day.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. And not everybody works the same way. So, hey, that's one recommendation for one kind of person. Maybe
Hmm.
this is something I did for myself a couple of years back. Set a date with myself, 9 to 10 a.m. or 8 to 9 a.m. every Saturday was like a writing date. And I would think about it all week. And then it would finally come. Because I'd been so ready and preparing and like scrubbing through it like a movie in my head, it was pretty much easy to write a whole new story or a chapter. So having a date, it gives you something to look forward to, creates a sense of Advent.
Hmm.
Depending on the writer, it might be a sense of Lent, working up to it. But you're kind of getting into that space ahead of time, so that when you do sit down, you know what you're doing. It's when you have no structure at all,
Hmm.
and you don't have that set time, either to look forward to or to stay in the zone, that you can lose motivation because you feel like, I'm a failure, I'm terrible, I'm never going to do it. But if you succeed in lots and lots of little ways, then you start to feel like, I can do anything. This is awesome.
Hmm.
And then the just do it stuff really can really sing, can really work. Alrighty, so I guess if you weren't listening to this, you were probably stealing somebody's sugar. So thanks for taking a moment to listen in. Half the time we don't know what we're gonna say, because we actually don't prepare apart from making like 6 bullet points. But hey, we figure these shows have to be good because, I mean, your writing life depends on it.
Well, not really, but one of these episodes might just explode your brain with an idea. You'll write a story and completely change your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of these did for us. Please, rate us 5 stars. Let us know what you think. Otherwise, what's going to happen, Katie?
Otherwise, we'll drain your motivation and let you wallow in the pit of despair.
There you go. You never write anything then. So, hey, subscribe to this podcast at catholicauthor.us. Now that we're done, you can begin.
Just do it!